In a world where destiny binds alphas and omegas, Max's heart shatters when his fated mate rejects him, only to be drawn into a forbidden bond with the one man he should never love, his mate's brother. Will love heal his wounds or destroy them both? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you want more gripping Omegaverse BL stories. The city streets glowed under the soft haze of evening lights, reflecting off the slick pavements like tiny shards of broken glass. Max itched to run, to escape, but he forced himself to slow down. Even in this bustling city, the world felt impossibly still tonight. He could feel it in the way his chest ached, the way his Omega instincts screamed at him with a longing he couldn't ignore. His heart thumped erratically in his chest, not just from nerves, but from the unmistakable pull of his mate bond. Max had felt it for weeks now, subtle at first, like a tug at the edges of his mind whenever Roy was near. But tonight the bond had flared like wildfire, impossible to ignore. His senses were overwhelmed. The deep, commanding scent of Roy's alpha scent hit him from across the courtyard, mixing with a strange undertone of anticipation. It was magnetic, intoxicating, and utterly terrifying. He ran his fingers over the small pendant resting against his chest, a gift from his parents, something to calm him when his mind spiraled. He drew in a shaky breath. Tonight I have to tell him. I won't wait any longer. Max knew the risk. He knew that many Omegas never survived the disappointment of rejection. The stories were whispered in the city's shadowed corners. Omegas left broken, sometimes physically weakened by the trauma, their heat cycles thrown into chaos. But he couldn't stop himself. Something in him, a quiet, desperate voice, kept repeating, "This is him. Roy is my mate. I can't deny it. Roy." Just the name made Max's chest tighten. The alpha was perfection in human form. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a presence that could dominate any room. His hair was dark as midnight, his eyes piercing like storm clouds, and every motion was controlled, deliberate. He was everything Max imagined an alpha should be. And yet, Max had never felt truly seen by him. The courtyard was almost empty, save for a few late-night wanderers and the faint glow of the street lamps. Roy was leaning casually against the edge of the fountain, arms crossed, the light catching the sharp lines of his jaw. He didn't seem to notice Max at first, but Max's Omega instincts flared. Roy's gaze slid over him, almost piercing, as if he could sense every tremor of Max's heartbeat. Max's legs felt like lead as he approached. Every step brought him closer to the precipice of his own vulnerability. His shoulder dropped slightly, a nervous Omega gesture he couldn't control. He swallowed hard, trying to steady the tremor in his voice when he finally spoke. "Roy." The alpha turned, eyebrow raised. "Max," his voice was smooth, confident, utterly in control. Max felt a shiver run down his spine. I need to tell you something," Max stammered, claws digging into his palms as he tried to ground himself. "Something important. About us." Roy's expression didn't change. He tilted his head slightly, curiosity, or was it amusement, glinting in his eyes. "Go on." Max's chest tightened. "This is it. This is the moment." He stepped closer, heart pounding. I think you're my mate. My soulmate. I feel it. Every time you're near, my bond, it's like it's pulling me to you. I can't." His voice broke, the last words a whisper. "I can't stop thinking about you." For a heartbeat, the world seemed to hang suspended. Max's Omega scent wafted toward Roy, mingling with the heat of his own rising panic. His instincts screamed for comfort, for recognition, but the alpha's face remained unreadable. Then came the words that shattered him. "You're wrong, Max." The sound of rejection was sharper than any physical blow. Max stumbled backward slightly, ears flattening further. What?" His voice cracked, raw and trembling. Roy's gaze didn't waver. "I'm not your mate. Don't feel that way about you. Maybe you're imagining it. You're a good Omega, but this isn't real. You need to accept that." Max's stomach dropped, twisting with a sharp, painful heat that had nothing to do with desire. His claws dug into his own hands, nails scratching skin as he tried to ground himself. But. "I'm sorry," Roy interrupted, softening slightly, though the cruelty of his words lingered. "I can't give you what you want. Maybe someone else will, but it's not me." Max's vision blurred. The courtyard, the lamps, even Roy's face seemed to tilt and wobble. The pull in his chest, the bond he had felt so strongly, so undeniably, suddenly felt like a lie, like a cruel trick of fate. His body betrayed him, a surge of heat thrumming through his veins, frustration and grief mingling in a chaotic storm. He turned sharply, ears pinned flat as he fled the courtyard, the cool night air doing little to calm the inferno inside him. Behind him, Roy said nothing further, merely watching him go, expression unreadable. Sora had been standing quietly on the periphery, hidden by shadow, observing the entire scene. The younger Alpha's amber eyes narrowed, concern twisting into something sharper, more possessive. He had always noticed Max, yes, always admired him quietly, respected him, but seeing his brother reject him so coldly stirred something protective, fierce, almost territorial. As Max disappeared into the streets, clutching his chest and trying to breathe through the overwhelming mix of heartache and rising heat, Sora's thoughts churned. No, this isn't right. I can't let him be broken like that. Not him. Meanwhile, Max's legs carried him aimlessly through the city. The world felt heavy, distorted by grief and the remnants of his mate bond reaction. His chest burned with longing, and every step echoed with the rejection he couldn't escape. Even as he rounded familiar corners, seeking some semblance of comfort, nothing could soothe the raw ache inside him. A gentle, almost instinctive shiver ran down his spine, marking the telltale signs of stress-induced heat. Max pressed a trembling hand to his stomach, trying to suppress it. He wasn't ready to face this, not alone, not now. And yet, even in his panic, even in his grief, there was a small, stubborn spark. A quiet hope that maybe, somehow, someone else could see him for who he truly was. Sora meanwhile tracked him at a distance. The younger Alpha's protective instincts flared, clenched his fist unconsciously as he watched Max struggle with the turmoil Roy had left behind. He's mine, Sora thought fiercely. I won't let him be hurt by my brother, or anyone else. Max finally collapsed onto a bench in a small park, hidden under the shadows of overhanging trees. His Omega senses were on overdrive. Every sound, every scent, every whisper of the night seemed amplified. The city hummed around him, distant and unreal, as he curled into himself, trembling. He pressed his forehead to his knees, trying to quiet the storm of feelings, the bond reaction that still throbbed insistently toward Roy. His mind screamed with confusion. Was it really my mate? Did I misread the signs? Why does it hurt this much? A faint rustle in the bushes made him flinch, claws scraping against the wooden bench. But when a familiar, calm scent reached him, rich, protective, with the subtle edge of an alpha he hadn't expected, Max froze. Sora? His voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. The younger alpha stepped into the dim light, expression unreadable but eyes softening as he took in Max's trembling form. Hey, Sora said gently. You okay? Max shook his head, heat threatening to rise again, emotions tumbling uncontrollably. No. I'm not okay. Sora knelt beside him, careful not to crowd, but close enough that his scent wrapped around Max like a shield. I saw what happened, he murmured. Roy, he can be harsh. But you're not alone, Max. Not tonight. Max twitched involuntarily, a mixture of relief and residual despair. He had never expected comfort tonight, and yet here Sora was, steady, calm, present. The warmth of the Alpha's presence made his chest ache in a different way, not from longing but from recognition, safety, and something more. I thought that he was my mate, Max admitted, voice breaking again. I felt it, and he rejected me. Sora reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair from Max's face, his touch feather-light yet grounding. I know, he said softly. But you deserve someone who sees you, who chooses you, not someone who dismisses you. You're more than just a reaction to a bond. Here, Max. And that's worth protecting. Max blinked, overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment. The heat inside him shifted, not the chaotic surge from grief, but something steadier, more insistent. His Omega instincts stirred, sensing not just safety but the possibility of something else. An alpha who genuinely wanted him. Sora didn't move away, didn't pull back. He let Max lean against him, let him tremble, let him breathe. For the first time since the rejection, Max felt a spark of hope flicker in the darkness. Maybe this is how it's supposed to be, he thought, even as his heart still ached from the wound Roy had left. Maybe I'm not meant for him. Maybe there's someone else. And as Sora's steady hand rested on his shoulder, Max realized, with a whisper of fear and anticipation, that perhaps someone else had already chosen him. The next morning, Max woke to the soft hum of the city outside his window, but the memory of last night's rejection lingered like a heavy fog. Even the sunlight seemed dim, filtered through the blinds as if the world itself shared his gloom. He rolled over, hugging his pillow, wishing desperately that he could erase the memory of Roy's cold dismissal. I'm not your mate, The words echoed in his mind, relentless, carving themselves into his thoughts. Max had always known rejection hurt, but this was different. It was more than emotional. It had felt like a violation of his Omega instincts, a denial of a bond that he had believed was true. He was rolling nervously beneath the covers, a subtle reminder that his body wasn't just grieving, it was responding physically to his heartbreak. The lingering tension from the bond had left him restless, anxious, and increasingly aware of the emptiness left by Roy's rejection. A soft knock at the door broke through his spiraling thoughts. "Max? Are you awake?" Max froze. The voice was gentle, calm, familiar. He turned slowly toward the door, and there, standing in the frame, was Sora. His younger brother had an unreadable expression, eyes soft but wary, as if he was carefully measuring the right words. I didn't mean to wake you," Sora said quietly, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. I wanted to check on you." Max blinked, unsure how to respond. He wanted to retreat, to curl into himself and hide from the world, but something in Sora's presence made it impossible. His Omega instincts recognized the Alpha's scent, the calm strength that seemed to radiate from him, and he found himself drawn to it despite his lingering grief. I'm fine," Max murmured, though his voice betrayed him, cracking slightly. Sora shook his head. "No, you're not. I can smell how tense you are, stressed. You shouldn't have to deal with this alone." Max's twitched nervously. He had never been comfortable with attention, especially from an Alpha, but there was something different about Sora. He didn't judge, didn't demand. He simply offered his presence, steady and unshakable. Max began, but words failed him. How could he explain the tangled knot of emotions, the pain of being rejected by someone he believed was his mate, the confusion at feeling drawn to Sora now? Sora knelt beside him, careful not to crowd him, and placed a hand lightly over Max's trembling. "Sure, it's okay. You don't have to explain right now. Just, let me be here." Max felt a shiver run through him, part fear, part anticipation. His Omega instinct stirred in response to Sora's calm Alpha energy, a strange pull he hadn't expected. He wanted to lean into it, to let the comfort wash over him, but guilt and confusion rooted him in place. I can't just forget Roy," Max admitted softly, voice barely above a whisper. Sora's amber eyes softened even more, filled with a quiet intensity. "I know. And you don't have to. But that doesn't mean you have to suffer alone. I'm here for you, Max, whatever you need. Max's blushed, betraying the rush of emotions and the subtle rise of heat in his system. He pressed his hands to his stomach, trying to calm the sudden, involuntary physical reaction. Being an Omega wasn't just emotional, it was visceral. His body was responding to the stress, to Sora's Alpha scent, and to the lingering bond confusion. I don't know how to stop feeling this way," Max admitted, shame coloring his voice. It's like a part of me is broken and I don't know how to fix it." Sora's hand tightened slightly over Max's, a firm but gentle anchor. "You're not broken. You're just human. An Omega. What you feel is real, valid, and it's okay to feel it. Especially after what happened with Roy." Max swallowed hard, the weight of Sora's words settling over him. No one had ever spoken to him like this, like his feelings mattered, like his pain was recognized instead of dismissed. He felt a small spark of hope flicker in his chest, fragile but persistent. Maybe you're right," Max said hesitantly. "But I don't even know where to start. I feel lost." Sora tilted his head, considering. "Then start here. With me. Tonight, tomorrow, whenever. I'll be around. You don't have to face this alone." "You're not alone, Max." The sincerity in Sora's voice, the warmth of his touch, and the quiet strength radiating from him sent a strange flutter through Max's chest. His Omega instincts, usually erratic and vulnerable, found a strange steadiness in Sora's presence. It was confusing, terrifying, and comforting all at once. Over the next few days, Sora's presence became a constant. He showed up at Max's favorite cafe, at the park where Max liked to sit, and even helped him with small errands, never overstepping but always near. Max couldn't explain why it made his chest flutter, why the scent of Sora's Alpha pheromones made him ache in a way Roy never had. One afternoon, while Max was sitting on a bench in the park, Sora appeared silently beside him, carrying 2 cups of tea. "Thought you might like this," he said, handing one to Max. Max accepted it with a small smile, ears flicking nervously. "Thanks, you didn't have to." Sora shrugged, settling down beside him. "I wanted to. You've been through a lot." And, his amber eyes softened, glinting with something Max couldn't quite name, "You deserve someone who actually chooses you." Max twitched. Chooses me. The words echoed in his mind. He had always dreamed of being chosen by his mate, to feel that connection, that sense of belonging. Roy had denied him that, leaving a gaping wound, but now, Sora's presence made him wonder if maybe the bond he had thought was with Roy had been misdirected all along. That evening, Sora walked Max home, his protective alpha energy subtle but undeniable. He noticed the small things, Max's flinches, the tension in his shoulders, the way his ears twitched at loud sounds, and adjusted his own movements accordingly, giving Max space while remaining close enough to offer comfort. When they reached Max's apartment, Sora stopped at the door looking down at him. You don't have to say anything, Max. Just promise me you'll let me help. Even if it's just a little. Max nodded slowly, heart racing. I'll try. Sora's lips curved into a faint smile, reassuring and steady. Good. That's all I ask. As Sora left, Max leaned against the door, closing his eyes. The emptiness left by Roy's rejection hadn't disappeared, but the ache felt a little less suffocating. The heat inside him had quieted, replaced by a strange sense of anticipation, a tiny flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, he didn't have to face the world alone anymore. And as he drifted into a restless sleep that night, Max's dreams were filled not with Roy's cold rejection, but with the steady, warm presence of Sora, his unexpected protector, the alpha who had quietly begun to claim a place in his heart. The morning sun filtered through Max's blinds, painting the room in soft amber hues. But today the light did little to lift the heaviness in his chest. Despite Sora's constant presence and quiet support, Max found himself trapped in a storm of conflicting emotions. He couldn't stop thinking about Roy. The rejection still stung, a sharp, lingering ache that clawed at his heart. Why me? Why not just choose me? The question had no answer, and Max hated how powerless it made him feel. And yet, as he replayed the memory of Sora's comforting hand, his calm voice, and the steady presence that had never wavered, another set of feelings began to stir. Confusion. Desire. A strange, magnetic pull that made his Omega instincts thrum in ways he hadn't expected. He shook his head, trying to push the thoughts aside. It's impossible. He's Roy's brother. I shouldn't even think like this. But the truth clawed at him relentlessly. Sora's scent lingered in his mind, mingling with the residual pull of his mate bond, confusing Max in ways that made his stomach flutter and his heart race. The next day, Sora came by again, casually leaning against Max's doorway with a gentle smile. Morning, he said, voice low, steady. I brought breakfast. Max blinked. You didn't have to. I wanted to, Sora said simply, stepping inside and setting down a small tray with steaming tea and sandwiches. You've been tense. I figured a little food might help. Max twitched involuntarily, betraying the surge of heat and anticipation that ran through him. He kept his eyes on the tray, focusing on something tangible so he wouldn't have to confront the growing pull he felt toward Sora. You're really attentive, Max said, voice soft, almost a whisper. Sora chuckled lightly. I notice things. That's part of being an alpha. I care about you, Max. You deserve someone who sees you, not someone who dismisses you. Max's flushed at the words. He wanted to say something, anything, but his throat felt tight, clogged with nerves and the unfamiliar stirrings of attraction. He nodded instead, a small, hesitant gesture. Over the following days, Sora's presence became more and more a part of Max's life. He helped with errands, accompanied Max on walks, and subtly guided him away from stress triggers. Max's Omega instincts responded to the constant proximity, the warmth of Sora's alpha energy, and the protective undertones that seemed woven into every gesture. Yet every step toward comfort also stirred guilt. Max couldn't deny the pull he felt toward Sora, but he still thought of Roy, the alpha who had rejected him, whose cold dismissal still echoed in his mind. Max tried to resist the growing feelings for Sora, telling himself that he wasn't ready to move on. But every time Sora's hand brushed against his, every time his voice cut through Max's anxiety, the more impossible it became to deny the truth. One evening, as Max was walking home through the park, he sensed Roy approaching from behind. The alpha's presence was unmistakable, bold, and overwhelming. Max's heart thumped painfully in his chest. Max, Roy called, his voice smooth, almost teasing. We need to talk. Max froze, alarmed. I don't think. Please, Roy interrupted, stepping closer, his alpha energy strong and insistent. Just listen. I've been thinking. Maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I. Max's heart beats anxiously, sensing the bond flicker in confusion. No, not again. Before Max could respond, Sora appeared silently by his side, a protective presence he had come to depend on. His amber eyes narrowed slightly, posture shifting subtly but decisively. His scent flared, an invisible shield against Roy's dominance. "Back off," Sora said quietly but firmly, placing himself between Max and Roy. The authority in his voice made Max's heart flutter in a different way, one that was equal parts fear and attraction. Roy paused, his expression flickering with surprise then irritation. "Sora, this isn't your business." "I think it is," Sora replied, calm but unyielding. "Max is not a toy to be toyed with. He's not for you if you can't see what's in front of you." Max twitched, overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment. He felt a rush of emotions, fear, embarrassment but also warmth. Sora's alpha energy, steady and protective, wrapped around him like armor, and for the first time Max didn't feel powerless. I don't know what to say," Max murmured, barely able to keep his voice steady. His body hummed with heat, the proximity of two alphas intensifying his Omega instincts. He wanted to flee, but he also wanted to stay, to feel Sora's protection, to acknowledge the stirrings of desire that he had tried to suppress. Roy's eyes softened for a brief moment, regret flickering across his features. "Max, maybe I was wrong?" Sora's gaze hardened. "You were. And you can leave it there. Max doesn't need your confusion. He needs someone who actually wants him." Max felt a swell of gratitude, a thrill of anticipation, and something deeper, something he couldn't yet name, as Sora's hand brushed against his own, fingers lightly grazing his palm in a gesture of reassurance. The simple touch made Max's Omega instincts flare, a warmth spreading through his body, heady and urgent. Over the next few days, Max found himself increasingly aware of the subtle ways Sora showed care. A hand on his lower back when guiding him through crowded streets, a jacket draped over his shoulders when the night was chilly, a quiet, steady presence that seemed to anticipate his needs. Max's heart raced every time, his body responding in ways that left him simultaneously flustered and yearning. One night, as Max sat on his bed, Sora appeared quietly at the doorway, his presence calm yet commanding. "Max," he began softly, stepping inside. "I can't not say it anymore. I've been trying to stay in the background because of Roy, but I can't. I care about you. I want you. And I'll wait as long as I have to for you to see that." Max's breath caught in his throat. The heat in his body surged, instincts flaring in response to Sora's proximity, to the undeniable claim in his voice. He wanted to reach out, to throw himself into Sora's arms, but fear and guilt held him back. I don't know if I can," Max whispered, voice trembling. I still think about Roy. I can't just forget him." Sora knelt before him, amber eyes locking onto Max's, unwavering and patient. "You don't have to forget him. But you don't have to suffer for him either. I'm here. I'm yours if you'll let me. Not as a replacement but as someone who chooses you, Max. I've chosen you." Max's hands shaking frantically, heart pounding. His Omega instinct screamed with need and desire, but his mind scrambled with guilt. And yet, for the first time since Roy's rejection, he felt seen, desired, protected. The next moment, Max leaned forward, letting his head rest against Sora's shoulder. It was tentative, cautious, but it was a start. And Sora responded instantly, wrapping a gentle arm around him, holding him close. The heat between them wasn't just physical, it was emotional, a slow burn of trust and desire, the beginnings of a bond that had been waiting beneath the surface all along. In that embrace, Max realized that his heart could heal, that his instincts could trust again. Roy's rejection had hurt, but Sora's patience, care, and undeniable presence offered a new kind of certainty. And somewhere deep inside, Max understood something he hadn't allowed himself to think. Maybe this warmth, this protection, this undeniable pull, was what he had been meant to find all along. The air was heavy that evening, charged with the scent of approaching rain and something else, something Max couldn't name but could feel thrumming in his veins. His heart had been racing all day, ever since Sora had confessed, ever since those amber eyes had looked straight through him and said, "I've chosen you." Now Max sat on the edge of the bed restlessly as thunder rumbled in the distance. The storm outside seemed to mirror the storm within him. Confusion, longing, fear, and a dangerous hope that refused to be ignored. A soft knock at the door broke his spiraling thoughts. "Max." Sora's deep voice came through, low and steady, grounding him instantly. Max swallowed, throat dry. "Come in." The door creaked open, and Sora stepped inside, shedding his jacket and shaking droplets of rain from his dark hair. His scent filled the room immediately, rich and grounding, cedarwood with an undertone of spice. Max's Omega instincts reacted instantly, a shiver racing down his spine. "You're trembling," Sora observed gently, coming closer. His gaze softened as he knelt in front of Max again, just as he had days ago, lowering himself until they were eye level. "Is it because of me?" Max's face down, his cheeks burning. "Yes and no. I don't know what I'm feeling. I'm afraid." "Afraid of me?" Sora asked carefully, though his voice didn't waver. Max shook his head quickly. "No, not of you. I'm afraid of what it means. Afraid that I'm betraying Roy. Afraid that I'm just broken and clinging to whoever reaches out their hand." Sora's brows furrowed, but his hands remained steady as he reached forward, cupping Max's trembling ones. His touch was warm, grounding. "You're not broken," Sora said firmly, his voice a quiet thunder. "Roy rejected you. That's on him. You don't owe him your loyalty or your heart. And as for me," his thumb brushed against Max's palm, sending a jolt of heat through his body. "I'm not reaching out to you because you're desperate. I'm reaching out because you're you. And I see you, Max. Every part of you." The sincerity in his voice cracked something open inside Max. He leaned forward impulsively, pressing his forehead against Sora's chest. His body trembled as he whispered, "Then hold me. Just hold me." And Sora did. His strong arms wrapped around Max, pulling him into the safety of his embrace. For a long moment they stayed like that, the storm outside echoing the storm within, but in Sora's arms Max felt safe. Wanted. Chosen. The bond he thought had been shattered with Roy began to spark faintly within him again, but this time it wasn't painful. It wasn't rejection. It was the pull of something new, fragile but real. His Omega instincts purred in response, heat rising in his core, his body attuning to Sora's alpha presence. When Max finally pulled back, his eyes shimmered with both tears and determination. "Sora, I don't know if I'm ready for everything, but I want to try. With you." Sora's lips curved into the faintest smile, relief flashing in his eyes. "That's all I've ever wanted to hear." Their lips met tentatively at first, a soft, hesitant brush that sent a shockwave through Max's body. His Omega instincts roared awake, demanding more, but the tenderness of the kiss steadied him. It wasn't possession. It wasn't dominance. It was Sora's quiet promise. "I'll go at your pace." Max's breath increased, betraying his excitement, and he deepened the kiss, pouring his uncertainty and hope into it. Sora responded with patient fire, steady and controlled even as his alpha instincts pulsed with the urge to claim. When they finally pulled apart, Max's breathing was ragged, his face flushed. "Sora? You don't have to say it yet," Sora interrupted gently, brushing a strand of hair from Max's face. "Just let yourself feel. That's enough." The storm outside intensified, rain lashing against the windows, but inside the room, warmth bloomed between them. Max leaned into Sora's touch, heart pounding. For the first time since Roy's rejection, the ache in his chest didn't consume him. Instead, there was something new taking root, hope, fragile but steady. Later that night, as the storm raged on, Max lay curled against Sora's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. He could feel the alpha's warmth seeping into him, his protective scent wrapping around him like a blanket. "Do you regret it?" Max whispered suddenly, his voice breaking the silence. Sora's hand stilled where it had been combing through Max's hair. "Regret what?" "Choosing me. When your brother." Sora cut him off with a quiet growl, not of anger but of fierce protectiveness. "Max, stop. Roy made his choice. This isn't about him anymore. It's about you and me. And no, I don't regret it. I never will. If anything, I regret not stepping forward sooner." Max's throat tightened, tears pricking his eyes. He burrowed closer, clinging to Sora's shirt as his Omega instincts purred with relief. For so long he had feared being unwanted, unloved. But here, with Sora's arms around him, those fears began to fade. "Then, I choose you too," Max whispered, his voice trembling but sure. Sora exhaled slowly, pressing a gentle kiss to the top of Max's head. "That's all I need." The bond between them pulsed again, stronger this time. It wasn't the same as the broken tie with Roy, it was something new, something they were building together. And as Max drifted to sleep, safe in Sora's arms, he knew deep in his soul that he had finally found where he belonged. Not rejected. Not abandoned. But chosen. Chosen by Sora.